Hey guys, welcome back to a new series I'm going to be launching on my YouTube channel, preparing for FNCS. I'm going to be posting 2-3 times a day on different concepts in duos to really make sure that you're prepared for FNCS in time for FNCS, which is why I'm sort of rapid fire posting these as much as possible. So enjoy, watch the other videos that are coming up very soon, watch this one very closely, take notes and really learn, and I promise you, you'll do significantly better than you would have in FNCS after these videos. So let's get started, no delay, right away. Okay, why are we focusing on endgame right away? Big point, right? We have to sort of discuss this immediately. All spawn, we have to understand, doesn't matter. Not a big deal. Why? We spend 2 to 3 minutes. It's not that big of a deal. We just queue again, right? What's the point? As long as you sort of don't die more than 3 times, you should be okay for 7 games in 3 hours. 7 end games, okay? So just make sure you limit off spawn deaths, but don't tilt after you die once, right? Genuinely, statistically, 1 death off spawn is more than fine. It's all about time in these tournaments. It's not about, you know, games necessarily. As long as you can play safe and consistent in the rest of the games and take opportunities for kills when they matter or when they're easy, then you should be pretty good. Now, mid-game does kind of matter. So this is something that we have to understand. We have to make sure we play safe in mid-game, right? Just stay safe. Don't worry about mats, and on this part right here I'll actually talk about it a little bit later and really focus on why you shouldn't worry about mats that much in mid game and just prioritize this. A lot of people mat conserve to the point where they die. We really need to consider, like, if you feel like a rotate's hard, like the next rotate's coming up that's like pretty hard, just spend more mats. Just spend. It's okay, because we have a strategy when you have no mats within moving zones. Like, if you, as long as you can get to first moving without any like real issue and not get too scuffed, you know, mats you can be scuffed, but you know, just make sure you have good HP, right? Really focus on just doing that part, and I promise you will have a strategy for this. I'll talk about it a little bit later in a minute. Okay, endgame really matters about performance, right? That's something that we have to understand. A lot of people believe like, okay, I'm good enough at endgame, like I get 7ths, I get 10ths, I get 15ths. Not good enough. We need top 2s, right? Top 2s every single time. That's a success. And if you get top 3, that's good too. But like, if you truly understand how to play endgame and the win conditions surrounding endgame, and you understand that like your goal of endgame is not actually to survive, but to secure one of the power layers, then you will do good, right? And your goal throughout endgame should be proactively looking for those power layers, and I think you'll do significantly better if you think of it that way. Okay, right? So don't mess this up, right? That's why we're sort of learning about it first, right? All the points in terms of the tournament, like where our majority of the points, it's in endgame, right? This is why we sort of have to worry about this part first. Okay, another thing to understand is that this is the hardest part of Fortnite competitive. A lot of people don't do good at this because they're not good at this, right? They think they're good at this because, again, 7th, 10th place, that's the sort of reality that they believe, but they're not that good at it. And that can be a good thing, because then that means there's a lot of area of improvement, like there's a lot of space for improvement. So if you just focus on learning about endgames, which is what we're going to do in this video, this is the hardest part of competitive. Okay, that's something that we have to understand. This is really, really difficult only if you don't understand how to play. This is what we're going to like learn about in this video. We're going to watch a pro VOD and really help you guys understand how to sort of succeed in endgame. So let's talk about it further. Like, what are some general tips and tricks that we can use and practice that can help us do good in endgame, right? In other words, what do we want to do, right? Like I said before, you want to secure the power layers, right? And what do I mean by power layers, right? Height is a power layer and low ground is a power layer. And why is that the case? So let's talk about this, right? I always use the same analogy all the time, right? Like, have you guys watched those like scary movies where, you know, there's the walls closing in and then there's a guy in the middle, right? But the guy in the middle can't really do anything. The walls are just slowly closing in, and then eventually you're just like scrunched, and then that's it, right? That's end games in Fortnite, right? So let's draw it out. That's the guy. These walls are slowly coming in. Eventually, it's gonna get to a point where it's GG and this guy gets eliminated. So what am I talking about here, right? What does this really mean? This is low ground, okay? This is mid ground, and this is height. You still don't understand this? Let me explain. What does low ground do when they establish low ground? What does height do when they establish high ground? They sprayed up and they sprayed down, right? They're closing in, and they're sort of, especially height, like they're sort of just dropping down layers, eventually getting to the point where it's just low ground and high ground. That's it, right? Secure this layer and start a second moving, or even half F and actually hold it properly and go for impacts in second height. You will win, right? And when I say win, I mean top 2, right? You will guarantee top 2. To win, it usually comes down to your execution in that final fight, but you can guarantee top 2 if you secure this or this and get out of this area. You understand? So really understand that. I think that will absolutely help you play the game better. And just understand something else as well. Don't go for low ground when it's obviously like a mountainous area, right? If it's a mountainous area where the moving zones are like taking place, just avoid this area entirely. Like, it's not a good idea to sort of think about it that way. Don't just stick to low ground every single game. Some games are just not possible to play low ground, right? If it's a really mountainous area, like there's a bunch of terrain that's elevated and going up and down and up and down and up and down, really worry about that. I would sort of say elevated in like second, third height in that case. So in the case that it does pull up a mountain, you're already positioned in a place where it becomes easy, right? That's the sort of thing you have to prepare about. Like if it's in the left side of zone near covert, you're not playing low ground. You know what I mean? Unless it pulls downhill. If it pulls downhill, you can claim low ground. But it goes uphill or has a potential to go uphill, then you need to sort of stay elevated, and not even mid ground, like be really elevated. Something that will benefit you if it does pull uphill and your second height or third height is everyone in the lobby will die really, really fast. That means placement points for you. Okay, so let's talk about something else. What do we want to do? Right, this is the sort of thing that we want to do during the moving zones. But how do we sort of make sure we succeed? Right, how do we succeed? Pretty simple. Okay, let me move my webcam here. First thing is we want to stick together. I don't know why people think that you can split up. Maybe they watched pros and they see them split up. Most pros don't split up. I don't know what video you watched. I don't know where you got this idea from. It's not good. Stay together, really, really close. Max one tile distance. Really, really ideal. If your duo is making a play, you need to copycat them, right? So what do I mean by that? Copycat, right? You guys need to be on the same play every single time. Do not do different things. Try not to like sort of get split and then one guy's going after another fight and you're tarping. You understand? Just be careful with that, because sometimes in really stacked games, it gets to the point where, you know, people steal your tarp and something goes wrong and then you die and then it's just 1v2 the rest of the game. Not ideal. Do not risk your life for that. Play together. Most of the time, it'll work out significantly better if you do that, okay? Next thing. That's where we're getting to this part, right? So why did I say don't worry about mats when you get into half-half? You need to stay safe at times and like play for your life. Don't worry about mats. You need to think creatively about mat conservation, right? A lot of people don't understand that there's different and really cool ways of conserving mats, right? Height is one way, right? Height, if you can secure height, obviously it's like 1 mat per tile and then some connections, right? Mid ground is what, like 4 mats per tile if you're actually making a decent tarp, and then low ground is 3 mats per tile. When I say mats, I mean builds. Okay, so this is something to understand. And another way to sort of really mat conserve is really simple: stagger, pepper, wood, first moving. Amazing strategy. Do this elevated so that you have space to actually do it and you don't get sprayed by anyone else except for maybe height. And if it's only one team spraying you while you're doing this, you should be okay, as long as you sort of hold the right builds. Steel pad if you have one of your own. What do I mean by this, right? This might be a little bit confusing for you guys. Like, what does this mean right here? You have to understand, if you go for stealing a pad when you don't have one, right? Yes, you may like need to rotate or whatever. I would most likely sort of prefer to walk unless you have real information that someone has a pad. Something to know about FNCS: airdrops are guaranteed pads again because they took armored walls out of airdrops, so that if you see someone pick up an airdrop and they have a really hard rotate and they seem to be staggering, yes, you can sort of wait for them to pad, but I would be careful, right? Because even stealing their pad and then, you know, getting beamed by everyone who's in half-half, that's a risk as well, right? Just be careful. Just make sure you have one of your own, because that's your plan B. Like, if they don't pad, then you can place your own. You have to understand, if you don't have your own pad and you sort of really try to steal a pad and try to force that play, and what's your plan B? What are you going to do if they don't place that pad? You never had a plan for that sort of scenario, so you might die if that comes down to it. Okay, so just be careful. Next thing, this one is the most important. This is why I'm saying don't worry about mats, because most likely in a stacked game this will always be an option. Okay, really, really, really important here. So I'm gonna type in caps. Okay, stagger, steal, long, established tarp. Harpoons are good here. Why are harpoons good here? Like, what am I thinking about? Like, what does harpoon do here? Double SMG is also good. So obviously you guys understand the double SMG part. Very simple. Just double SMG them. You'll probably just get a kill. However, how do we sort of make sure that they become split? How do we sort of split them up? You have to understand, right? They're going to be together at the front of the tarp. You're going to sneak in through the back very, very quietly. You're going to also block your back as you're breaking forward into their tarp, because you're going to be concerned about someone following you. You have to understand, this is not just like a 2v2. There could be other people that are doing the same thing to that exact tarp. So be careful, right? But as you go forward, if you have a harpoon, your first hit should not be a SMG or a pump. Your first hit should be the guaranteed harpoon, where you pull them forward, right, towards you, and then you 2v1 the guy you pulled. You hit him for 75 HP advantage, 400 HP on your duo, 2 guns, and against a solo with 125 HP should be pretty easy to kill. The biggest thing to place when you do that is the back wall, and then you need to jump in, right? Pull them and get really close. Like when I say hug them, I really mean it. Like literally, you are this is them. Like get close, right? Because if they try to place a stair or try to get out through the side wall, which they own because it's their tarp, then you can probably get that kill as well. Okay, so just make sure that that's happening. Really important. So that's it, guys. This is just the written part of it. Now we're gonna go into the pro VOD review, where we can talk about all the little things that you can do to really make sure you succeed in this end game. So now we're going to be talking about the pro VOD review, where we can talk about how to succeed in end games, specifically from the perspective of Edgy and Tahi in NA East. They got 3rd place in the duo cash cup last time, and I was very interested in the fact that they played very proactively in endgame. That's the thing, guys. Do not be scared in endgame. Now, do not do stupid things. Don't just play everything that you see. Like, don't take every single opportunity that you see. Understand win condition, understand risk reward. Those 2 things alone will help you do really, really well in endgame. Okay, so let's start with it. Okay, we'll hop in right into the VOD review. First thing that we see is that they're in first moving. They're spraying at this team on the side, and they're holding them, right? Why are they holding them? Like, why are they so far back? Like, why are they not concerned at this fact that they're so far back, right? A lot of people would be like, okay, well, what, why aren't they staying ahead? Isn't it good to stay ahead? Here's the thing. We talked about mat conservation in the notepad. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to stagger, step 1. They're going to pepper, step 2. They're going to use wood on an elevated layer to save all their hards for later in 2nd and 3rd moving. Because if you do that, there's going to be a point in the game where everyone else has wood because they use all their hards in 1st moving and 2nd moving, and then you have hards, and that really cements you as the team that's going to get a lot of kills, just because of the fact that everyone around you is in wood and you still have all your hards left. It becomes very easy to play the game if you can get rid of your wood first. Wood is trash. Wood is not a material count. Do not think of wood as a actual mat. Okay, it's not actually a mat, because if you sort of tarp in wood in like 3rd moving or 4th moving and it's like really congested, you will die. You know, harpoons are a thing, SMGs are a thing. It's not an established tarp, honestly. Like, tarping wood on low ground is cool if you don't have any other choice, but it's not an established tarp. Once we understand that, we understand wood is trash, it's not that good, we want to get rid of it and really make a point to get rid of it. We want to do it safely, because if you have peppers and chili chug splash and you're not using your wood because you're so fast, there's no point in building metal. By the time someone breaks that metal piece, you're not there anymore. So what's the point of building metal? Just build wood, right? And be careful as you build wood, obviously, because it is a weak material type. If you sort of just speed ahead and just like get caught, it's going to be bad. So just be careful as you're doing it, but definitely get rid of your wood first. It's going to be helpful in that sort of scenario. That's what they're planning to do, guys. That's the only reason that they're sort of staggering here, is because they have peppers. They're not concerned, right? In that time that they're sort of staggering and have nothing to do, they're going for this kill. They pick up an impact even though they have 444, right? I'm sure Tahi has some sort of different material count, but it's to cap their mats out. You have to understand, they still have a lot of space here. Just because you're 444 or you're healthy on mats does not mean, right, you sort of sit in your tarp and do nothing. That's not what you should do. Let's quickly talk about this, okay? Because a lot of people don't really focus on this at all. A different type of scenario, but an analogy, okay? So when you're sitting in a box and you're scared to edit, what do beginners do, right? They edit, but they get hit. You understand? Because they don't know how to edit properly. And then the band-aid solution that they do for that is to not edit at all. Never editing is just not a good play. You have to understand that. It's just not really a sort of thing that you should be doing. Try to avoid this at all costs, because this is not an actual solution. How should you do it? This is the real answer. This is what you should be learning. This is what you should be doing in your games. For example, right, this is not a risk to sort of look back and spray while you have time when you're sort of touching up your pepper wood. Really make sure you look back, because this is an important aspect of doing good in endgame. Is to always look for the free opportunities that you have. This was a solo coming out of back tarp. If you're scared to shoot at a solo, there's more problems than you think in your gameplay. So definitely make sure you sort of are not too scared to do that. Just do it safely. Do it more safely than you believe would be good. Now, here starts the pepper wood strat, okay? Very simple. They're going to use peppers. They're going to get up a little bit in the brick, so there's people under them, and then they switch to wood and burn their wood. They get rid of it completely, right?
Yep. I got chopped out.
And Edgy gets hit, so he tarps in metal for a bit just to make sure he can pop the big. This would be the wrong thing to do if he used wood here. Edgy's really focused on using metal in this specific case, and that's going to be very, very good for him in terms of doing well and trying to get that heal off. This part, don't even ask me about this part. This part makes no sense to me how he got out successfully. Not kidding. I think they would agree with me. This was very lucky that he got out. Obviously a mistake in terms of getting dropped down. It wasn't even that big of a mistake. So let's go back and sort of look at it really quickly. He tries to go forward in wood, and then someone sprays him immediately, almost immediately on the floor. And then instead of holding this floor, right, and sort of just holding it and getting off of the tile, he just builds this stair. When you're holding the stair, obviously, then you know you're dropped down because you're not holding the floor anymore. So it was pretty panicked. I understand, pretty tough mistake to sort of get out of. But notice something: he's not trying to shoot the people. So many people just die here because they shoot the enemies when it's a lost fight, guaranteed. There is no way you win this aim duel. No chance. He pumps the stair, tries to make it his, doesn't work, tries to SMG out. You see his attempts to escape. So many people here just give up and they think that they're just dead. I want you to see this because honestly, this is a very big situation where he's just dead, but he gets very, very lucky. Now, why does he get lucky? He let himself get lucky by actually trying to get out in the first place. So actually, when you're in a situation where you're sort of in a lost fight, don't just sit there and shoot them when it's a lost fight. You just lose. Don't just handshake the fight. Don't handshake the engagement. Try to get out. Just attempt to do it. If there's even a 1% chance of trying to get out, it's much better than the 1% chance of trying to kill them, right? It's just not worth it to try to kill them. Right, and honestly, it wouldn't even be a 1% chance. It's like very, very, very close to 0 in those sort of situations when you're 1v2 in their box and none of them are low. Pulls pulled back, paying attention to moving. So here's the thing: when you're doing the wood stagger, just make sure your last bit of tarp in static zone. And what I mean by static zone is the end zone, the white circle. Just make sure that it's in hearts, right? Obviously, because you're going to be staying in that part for a decent amount of time. Don't mess that part up. Understand? Splashes a little bit, pops a big, gets back to full HP, and that's a priority. Like, don't go for really like crazy fights when you're low. Like, just try to heal up, okay? Pops peppers again. They don't have that many like mats, okay, at all. Again, what are they doing? What are they doing here? They're burning their wood. Hard mats are very, very valuable. We need to save them. If you run out of hard mats, you will probably die in endgame. Burn wood, burn wood, burn wood all the time, okay? They get up a couple layers to avoid some people on their layer, and then they notice someone on their left, and they're gonna spray them because they want to get them off their layer. Very close to the 1 HP there. Edgy was thinking about aggressing that, but honestly, I don't think it's that worth it. I don't think it's that worth it. You have to go backward a lot. And that guy could easily just drop down. You don't know who's in your back tarp. You have to also remember that Edgy and Tahi came up. Like, they were not on this layer before, right? So they can't really go back tarp and then fight him on a wall. Like, that's not their builds, right? Their builds like, sort of look like this. Like, I'll sort of draw it. They came from here, right? And they went like this, right? And then the guy they're spraying is like right here. So obviously they don't have a tarp that's sort of established next to their wall. So that's the sort of thing that you have to remember. Keeping track of where your tarp is very good in the cases that it pulls back. Let's say zone pulls back again, right? If you remember exactly where your tarp is, and just focus on like where your tarp came from, you'll remember it, and it'll be very useful for you in that sort of situation, right? Right now, they're very impact focused. They're not going ahead right here, right? They're very, very impact focused. Quickly check height. Height is way too high to take right now, so they're gonna drop. And even if height was not that high, it's very important to understand that they just don't have the mats to take it. It's just not a good option right now, right? The win condition to taking height is not actually just taking height right now. It's just getting more mats, then take height. Really good opportunity to kill someone. Turns out to be Donnie, GG's. And it's really important to understand, why does he go for this fight? First of all, they need it, right? Their mats are pretty low, and it's important to understand that they just need this kill, right? That's the first thing. But actually, the more believable sort of reasoning for this is, if you look at the awareness of this player, Donnie doesn't know, right? This enemy doesn't know that Edgy is looking at him. Gets first shot, that turns into HP advantage. Edgy wants to take this fight because of HP advantage, jumps into the tile and takes the fight, right? Because you can see the back of the head of the enemy. That's the idea, right? That white superhero was probably a teammate, and they're just gonna go forward at this point because they got mats, because of the refresh, because of that fact, right? You have to think about their economy, right? It's sort of going down, down, down because they're using mats, and then look, right? It goes up like this, right? And then eventually it's gonna go down again. But if you look at the average sort of background of the enemies, it's gonna be something similar, and then it's just gonna keep going, right? Because like they don't get impacts that often, right? This is what you sort of expect. So the idea is, if you have an impact, chances are you have more mats than other people, okay? You can't guarantee it, but that's a good chance. You can sort of intuitively think that. Now in this case, they're gonna look for height because they just got a refresh. I think Tahi picked up most of the mats. So Edgy says, is height solo? They check if it's a solo. It is a solo, and it's really hard for the height die to drop here. I don't know. I mean, they're really focused, obviously. They could easily shoot this out. If Edgy just looks right here and sees this, it's shot out, right? He doesn't see the wood floor, wood cone. But I understand. They're in the heat of the moment. They're in game. I'm VOD reviewing. It's significantly easier to sort of see these things when you're not playing in game and you can pause the video. So, but that is a clear opportunity for where they could have shot out the enemy, right? Enemy connects here. If they break the connection, it should fall. Good. Claimed height. Notice something. When the enemy's shooting Edgy, does Edgy try to pump back? No. Edgy does not try to pump back. Why were you shooting him in the first place? You're trying to get height. So when the opportunity to get height was there, they just give up the kill and just go up, right? Don't fight willy-nilly. Go for what you were trying to go for in the first place, which was height, right? Yeah, it's the important thing. And I think this endgame is pretty self-explanatory at this point. It's really, really easy at this point. Really, really easy to succeed.
Just spray. I have 2 builds.
They don't have that many mats, but honestly, it does not matter. Height here is really nice.
I'm playing a med kit right now.
And luckily for them, it does pull back, but I think there's ways to sort of win even if it doesn't pull back.
Nice.
But you have to understand, it's not that scary to be low mats here. Why? Everyone else is out of mats too. Okay, and if that's the case, you have to understand that. That's why I talked about the average economy of the lobby. Like, it's also going to be going down like this throughout the moving zone. So in like third, fourth moving, you can expect other people to also have bad mats, right? Now there'll be some random team with like really good mats. Of course, that can happen because they get like a lot of kills or like impacts or whatever. So, but it's just an assumption for the average mat count, right? And if that happens, you could definitely sort of get away with height takes like this where you literally have 0 mats left. You're gonna want to defend it, obviously. Like, they get up like this and sort of spray and pressure second height to make sure second height never comes up, right? They got this kill because of mats, and they need to get up, right? If you think about how height look like, let's say they're coming from this way, height sort of went down like this, right? It's sort of like elevation like this, and then eventually they're like down here. They're sitting here, and then everyone else is down here. Okay, when they get a mat refresh, they have to remember that it went like this really quickly, and then they just need to ramp up. They need to ramp up, go sit up here. If they do this, they'll guarantee top 2. They just need to do it. So let's see what happens. Okay, they need to get up as far as possible. So obviously this is as high as they can get for the current zone, but eventually they can get up a little bit further. But yes, this is the highest that they can get. So 2 people show up, really tough, and then they claim height, unfortunately. But I don't think they could have done much with that. It's just like really difficult to sort of play around that fact, just because of the fact that they just don't have mats. They don't have mats left. That was the end of their like sort of play right there. They needed another impact to really continue playing that game. Still really good placement though. That's what you have to understand. It's okay if you die there. You got all the placement that you needed. What did they end up with? Let's just see. I think they got top 3. Yeah, they got top 3. Top 3 is pretty good, right? You know, you're pretty happy with that endgame if that's the case. And they don't really have an option to go up higher. This is like the only option is like get up here. That's a small improvement. It's not even that big of an improvement. Okay, so the game's over, but they're pretty happy with it. Go to next game. The top 3, like I said, pretty happy with it. Pad into first moving because they're backside, and just first moving pads are very efficient because you get to glide really, really far.
I'm landing like back here.
Land on the wood wall to claim elevation so you can see more. And then you get to pepper and sort of claim, like, you get to plan your rotate better if you have a better vision. I was gonna say that, so like, obviously someone's holding them. The best thing they can do is sort of drop down and then build on the ground. Why? Because when you build on the ground, you just need to do this, okay? You don't need to build the full tarp, right? If you build midair, not only are you getting sprayed on your layer, which is really hard, you're gonna get hurt like a lot, but you have to do this as well. Not ideal. More mats used, right? So just be careful with that. And also, if you just want to de-aggro, change layers. Get off the layer that you're getting sprayed on. Like, the guys that are spraying them are on that layer, so once they drop, yes, they still get sprayed, but it's significantly easier. Why do they not sort of stay low ground here? It's important to understand. What do they see that they just don't want to stay low ground? Look at this. Where do they go? If you just see this, you understand you have to go up. That's the only option. So many people would just be like, oh, I have low ground, like power layer, right? No, first of all, first moving is not something that you should sort of think about power layers, just because it's not a good idea. Like, you're probably not going to hold it for all 4 moving. So don't tunnel on power layers in first moving. Focus on just successfully getting across into second moving with a good amount of mats. If you have a good amount of mats in the end of first moving, you could probably take power layers in second, third, fourth. Okay, so just realize that you don't need to tunnel on this. Understand that there's no way anyways, and try to get up here, obviously, right? After they de-aggro and they stop spraying, they get up layers. Tahi sees as an option after they get up layers, and also it goes up elevation. So sorry, not Tahi, Edgy saw that, and then Edgy notices that it goes up terrain and really maintains that. Now, something to understand, He places cones on these. This is very important. So it's like preemptively placing cones. The reason is because let's say a team like shows up here eventually, right? They show up on a tarp on the top left of them. Really important to have a cone here. Really important to have this wall eventually so that the guy doesn't sort of escape. What are you trying to do? You're trying to drop them down. You're going to build the walks here and you cone everything and you're going to edit top 6 tiles, right? You're going to edit all of these and then you're going to drop them down. And then the most important thing is like if you have a cone here already, it's very easy, very easy to sort of make sure that you don't get ramped off as soon as that happened when you drop down. You're sort of piecing everything, right? You're making it airtight, and when it's airtight, it becomes very easy to drop someone down and get that kill without anything going wrong. Okay, pretty simple. They're in zone, but like I said, their mats are not that good. I think Edgy's using way too many hearts, to be completely honest with you. But again, like, if you're in the game, you're sort of like in the moment. Okay, so here's something that's super important. A lot of people would be like, oh my god, dead side's right here, dead side's right here, right? I can just wrap around. If I wrap around, I won't be near people. Wrong. This is a horrible rotate. Why is this bad? Because in the current context of Edgy and Tahi, they don't have a lot of mats. They just don't, right? Edgy has 300 wood, and when you don't have a lot of mats, what do you need? Kills, and you need cover to survive. Okay, very important. Do not go dead side with just wood. Okay, it doesn't work that well unless in certain scenarios you have like tree cover or you have like a certain elevation change that you can see a free rotate. It's all about line of sight, right? And if you go dead side here, everyone can see you, and also it's just a longer rotate, right? Longer rotate. But in general, if you want to get kills here, you just need to go through the builds, right? Expanding sides here. You look at this expanding side, and it comes up to get match here, and then this is going to be closing. This is backside of zone, obviously. So just make sure that you play towards the left. You're going to lean left. Think about it this way. Like, what am I talking about when expanding side, right? This lane is eventually going to open. You see this floor right here, eventually going to open. And so if you think about it from a bird's eye view, it's like highways, right? Really simple. It's like a new lane is opening up, like this. New lane opened up, right? This wasn't here before, right? But if you just keep staying to the left, because it just continues, this is what it really looks like. And actually, this one closes, and then eventually this one closes. You see how this literally is a moving zone? So you just need to make sure you stay here, like that, right? Your path should genuinely just be this. Do not make your path this, because you're going to be cutting off a lot of people, and then you'll run into them, you'll probably die. Do not make your path this. Why are you doing this? Why would a car do this? It makes no sense on the highway, right? Just stay to the left, and I think you'll succeed in that manner. Again, stay to the left. Again, stay to the left. Right? Constantly staying to the left. Sees a potential kill. Understands something. Why does Edgy not want to fight this guy despite it being a free kill? And actually, they need a kill right now, right? That guy is absolutely not looking towards Edgy. Why does Edgy not fight? Very important aspect to understand here. People sort of blame these trees a lot. I don't think so. Just be aware. You can't build here. See this? Can't build here. Yes, you can sort of run, but if you run here, chances are the duo is right here, right? Duo somewhere here following, right? That's the assumption I would make. I was like, the duo's there, just like kind of late. Don't just jump forward and take this fight. It would probably get you killed. It's not an easy fight, and you can't, like I said, you can't build here. Cannot build here, right? Because of that log. So instead of doing that, Edgy immediately, this is crazy, instinctively realizes he has white heals, right? He has these white heals. And he can heal himself and Tahi, and understands that he can go really far left. He's basically going off-road, right? Like if I showed you the highway again, this is essentially what's happening, right? Lanes are opening up on the left. Instead of just following the lanes, because someone owns this, there's a car literally right here, and this is Edgy's car, right? This is Edgy's car right here. Instead of just like waiting and potentially getting like rammed by other cars that are coming behind him, he just does this and cuts this guy off, just takes the space in front of him. And why is this allowed? Because he has nice off-road tires, in other words, white heels. Okay, he's able to go through the off-road, and that's what Edgy does, like this. Completely goes off-road because they need to. They don't want to sort of wait for that car to move, you know what I mean? They don't have time, and they claim low ahead, which is crazy. And now, because they're so far ahead and they have that sort of tempo advantage, now they can wait for people to pass them. And what is the best way to kill someone? You kill someone that's distracted by rotates, right? If someone's distracted by rotates, they're so concerned about where they're going, they're not going to be fully aware of what you're about to do to them. They're going to fully focus and like wait for something to happen up here. They're already ahead. They're going to stagger a little bit because they sort of can't tarp here, guys. They have 200 wood. They're not tarping here. That's a horrible idea. Horrible idea. So just don't tarp, right? Horrible idea. Definitely don't tarp here. They're gonna wait, stagger, look for kills. Eventually, nothing happens. They notice this fight. I have no idea if they hear a crack or something, because I don't. I've watched this part like back a lot. They don't hear a crack necessarily, but there's a fight. And also, there's an advantage if you sort of think about what they go in position right here. You go to the side, you have a right-hand peek on them. Because if you think about the moving zone, if you watch bird's eye view like this, your sort of tarp is like this. Okay, your tarp is like this, and then enemy tarp, if I draw it in black, is like this. So you naturally, no matter what, even if you never get the kill right here, if you just continue your tarp like this, right, you always have right hand peek on them, right? Always. So you can, again, like, if you don't kill them right here, tarp ahead, meet again, and you fight them again, you have right hand on them again. Okay, and they're not going to be sort of doing this because they can get sprayed by other people if they open this wall. They can't really open that wall, you understand? So just be careful with that sort of situation if it happens to you. But Edgy is about to take advantage of that situation. So one thing, very important mentality, you have nothing to lose. You don't have mats. Okay, you need to very aggressively, not necessarily jump in, but aggressively go for a play. That's exactly what Edgy does. Places cones, pieces everything, tries this very nice piece control move where he claims the back walls first like this, places stair next, and almost gets the wall. And even though he doesn't get the wall, think about it, what's the enemy's only escape? The enemy's in here, doesn't own this wall, right? Doesn't own the back wall. Only escape, literally, because especially the ramp, you can't even go up, is this way. So Edgy knows this very fast, right? Knows this, claims it, full box. Only problem is he's so deep. Hey, look at his movement's horrible. He goes really far deep, and then tries to kill. But in this specific case, it's kind of okay because he knows he's about to do it, so he'll most likely pull the gun out first. You can see the blueprint in the enemy's hand. Edgy's gonna have first shot. As long as Edgy resets after first shot, he's good. He sort of mechanically plays it, like he mechanically messes up because he sort of, if you watch it one more time, he messes up his pump pull out. You see that? He pulls out his pickaxe by accident, and that gets him hit first. But honestly, he has first shot. If he shoots first and resets the wall, he is completely safe there, right? Really safe. So it's much safer than you think to do this sort of play. It's just scary to do it, but you need to do it. Right? Like, why is this scary? You're gonna die anyways if you don't make a play. You understand? It's better to make a play and then die trying than it is to just slowly die, because at least you rolled the dice. At least you had a chance to get that, you know, play to work. So I definitely understand that. Mats right there. They can claim. Yeah, they can get that. They should get that for sure. They definitely risk that. I don't know how they don't get metal. They don't get the metal. Most likely it's 50 metal though. Okay, so exact same situation, right? It's sort of the highway situation, except this wall is sort of expanding, right? And getting to this position, right? So expanding side's right side. Obviously, this is also expanding, right? This is expanding right here, but this is not practical for their uses, right? It doesn't make sense to sort of play here just because, like, they're not on that side. It doesn't make sense to, like, all the way go over there. Like, it's just waste of math. They're already on the right side of the zone, so just play the right side. So what should they do? They should just stay all the way to the right. Look what Tahi does. He stays all the way right. Like, this is good. This is good movement right here. The only problem is Edgy doesn't follow the guy in front. Whenever you're the guy in the back, all you have to do, and in this case, Edgy is the guy in the back, right? So Edgy is not leading. Edgy is not leading here. It's Tahi. And they just need to very clearly communicate that so that they understand Tahi's leading this moving zone, and Edgy just needs to copycat. Edgy just needs to copy what Tahi's doing, literally to the T. If Tahi's moving this way, Edgy also moves this way. If Tahi makes a full box and full boxes someone, Edgy also follows through in full boxes and shoots them. You understand? Just copy. Be the guy. Like, whoever's second in line. It's not even necessarily the IGL, because sometimes you'll get scuffed and then your fragger is leading, right? Because sometimes that's faster. In that case, then you just absolutely need to just copy the fragger, right? Just copy the guy in front. You see the miscommunication here? They mess up. Tahi goes right, Edgy goes forward, and honestly, even if they both went forward here, it's just a bad play. Why? Because of the highway system. Now this side's opening up. You understand? Like, this way is opening up. We need to just make sure that we're staying to the right. You tank storm if you need to. Like, we have healthy whites here, and Tahi's pretty decent as well. You can tank one tick, no problem. Just stay to the right. You understand? That's where space is gonna be. And as you get hit here, and he dies. So yeah, I think just staying to the right is a very reliable way, especially if you're the team on the rightmost. Okay, so we're gonna stop the VOD view there. There's more to, like, sort of learn here, but you can watch this video on your own. It's on Edgy's channel. I highly recommend it to watch this last game. But we're gonna stop it here, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video, but more importantly, for your own sake, actually try to focus on the important details in this game and really focus up on what you can apply in FNCS, because tomorrow's FNCS, guys. This is not a joke. We want to perform good, so really take notes here and try to learn, and there's gonna be a lot of things that you can apply tomorrow. Preparation's everything. Don't try to wing it. Really make sure you do good, and I promise you that you'll be happy with your result after the fact if you put the work in. Check out a video later today, hopefully on a different topic that can help you for FNCS. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.